when Tata got appointed the coach in Miami in 2023, he got appointed, and then obviously Messi came in the Leagues Cup initially. That first season or first half season with Messi and everything. When Tata came, I sent him a text message saying, "Hey, welcome back to MLS. So good to see you back here." And he goes, "Yes, I'm happy to be back. Thank you. Maybe you could join us in Miami again, or maybe we can join forces again, or something like that." At some point, like not even specific about anything or whatever, but some similar like little message, and then it sticks, It
Yeah,
it,
it
it,
just
it
plants
turned
the
out,
seed,
yeah,
drops it
yeah.
there. The long-awaited return of the Player Manager podcast is here. And we've got a new background on the other side. That's right. Zealand Shannon, Julian Gressel, and a new team. So welcome to all of the Loons supporters that might be tuning in for all of your inside information on Minnesota United. And Julian, I believe you're in Minnesota right now. Is that some wonderful hotel art I see in the background?
It is beautiful hotel art. Yes, 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 yes. I've been in Minnesota now for quite some time, and I think just over a week. And now, yeah, still in the hotel, but I found a house, and so
Oh.
this might be the only episode we record in a hotel. I'm not too sure. We'll see next week how quickly I can get in the house and get set up everything. But no, it's been a really good time here so far, and yeah, honestly, it's been great in terms of setting everything up off the field, and obviously on the field, a very good start too.
Yeah, well, obviously, we're going to get to what happened with Minnesota United. We're going to get around the world. We've got Champions League. We've got Europa League stuff going on. We've got drama around Trent Alexander-Arnold. And, of course, Julian's own Bayern Munich taking home a trophy in honor of Harry Kane, who at 31, after nearly 300 professional goals, has finally got, I think, a fourth of the number of trophies as Julian Gressel. I'm checking my
Finally,
math on that, but
finally, he's got one.
finally. Yeah, he should have just called you a long time ago to pick up tips about how to win a trophy, I guess. And you're hunting more this year, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But first, we got to let you know next week you're going to want to tune in, not just for my forehead and his fabulous hair, but there is going to be a giveaway of some distinction. I'm going to be entering. I know some people involved, so I'm going to try and rig it. But just in case I fail at rigging the giveaway, you might have a chance to win something really cool next week. Julian, you wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
No, well, I might enter too, honestly. So,
Well, that's cheating, I think.
yes. So
I'll have to
stay
ask
tuned
our
for next
producer.
week.
Yeah, perfect. But how have you been settling in outside of the hotel, which does look cozy?
Um, Honestly, it's been great. It's been a really good start. I mean, the guys are nice. The club is nice. They're really helpful with everything. Um, it's just a blast. It's so much change, but it's honestly just a blast. And then so much. Yeah, it's stressful. Obviously, it's stressful to find a house and schools and basically outfit a whole new house and try and figure out what to bring, what not to bring, and all those types of things. Like so many little things that go into that, but um, it's a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for what this how this sets up for us. For me and my family. Um, in general, it's just been a really good 10 days or so now.
Found any favorite restaurants or something? I mean, or does the club give you a private chef for your hotel room? I don't know how fancy this might get.
Well, honestly, I haven't gone out too much. I think I have a little kitchen here at the hotel where I sometimes cook here, or just I went to Whole Foods at one time, but I did go to a hockey game last week, which didn't turn out great. But it
Oh
wouldn't
well,
be
yeah.
I wouldn't be Minnesota if one, it either snows, or two, you go to a hockey game. So I think it's the state of hockey, right? So I snuck in that last last game of the season there in the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Wild lost. Um, but yeah, we got the Timberwolves up next, so maybe I'll go to a playoff game there this week.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you got to watch out though, because there is, and I know you're involved in trying to break this. There is definitely a curse over Minnesota sports. Okay, the Minnesota Wild, that was actually, you watched a record, because they've now made the playoffs 8 of the last 10 years, and they have
Wow.
not gotten out of the first round one time
Oof.
in each of
Yeah.
those 8. So I mean, at
Well,
least the Timberwolves got out of the first round, so there's progress there.
yeah, exactly. And like you said, I think we're trying to break that, and the Timberwolves are trying to break it. They're playing pretty well right now. I feel like beat the Lakers no problem, and now for us we have some time before the playoffs, so we'll worry about that when we get to it. But yeah, that's I didn't know that was a curse. Atlanta had that
Oh,
curse, and Atlanta United broke that in 2018 as well with me on the field. So maybe there's some good juju coming.
maybe you're like a curse breaker because it is. I mean, I'm full of the fun sports facts today, but Minnesota is the they're currently in the longest championship drought of any major U.S. sports town with at least
Oh
four
wow,
professional teams. I don't think they've won a championship since right around 1980 in any sport, and they have
interesting.
five professional sports teams. So if the Timberwolves can't, and I believe in the Ant-Man, but if they can't, you guys are up. No pressure at all, though.
All right, well, U.S. Open Cup. I think it only takes 4 games, so
Oh,
let's
easy.
go.
You've got that
That's the
coming up
first
this
one.
week, right? Are you excited? You have Louisville. I got it on my notes here. You got Louisville City in the U.S. Open
Yes.
Cup, which is a competition that I believe if you'd stayed at Miami, you wouldn't have been able to play in. So is that something you're looking forward to?
I traded the U.S. Open Cup for the Club World Cup. So,
That's true.
American heritage and
Uh,
American tradition for this new weird tournament, right? That just got created.
hell yeah,
The
brother.
money grab tournament. No, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now
uh,
that he's not in it, now it's a money grab tournament, right? I mean, it is. It is. It's the Club World Cup is a transparent money grab that I am going to watch anyways. I am aware of my own hypocrisy. Okay, but the U.S. Open Cup instead, the good old meat and potatoes kind of barbecue and apple pie tournament. You're taking on Louisville City, and you've got an opportunity to bring home that last piece of silverware one more time. Yeah,
yeah, I
hopefully not one
mean,
more time.
I am excited to play in it. Of course, I have to say this, but I absolutely am. I think the Open Cup means a lot. I think to U.S. soccer and to a lot of fans and what the sport is about in the U.S. And I think we've covered it so many times where we talk about USL and Pro Rel. I remember that episode where we talked about that and everything. And this gives a real glimpse into American soccer, not just history, but how it is right now. And that is a cool thing to be a part of. And like I said, it's I think the shortest way to a trophy, where like you only have to play a few games and all of a sudden you could have a final. So I'll take that, and then we'll try and obviously advance, I think, against Louisville, which are a really good team and really good atmosphere to go there. Never been there, so excited to kind of play there in front of their fans and experience that as well. But at the same time, yeah, we want to advance. I think we'll rotate a little bit because we obviously play Miami on the weekend, so not the easiest game over the weekend. But yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool to be part of that, and also good memories. I think the last time I played in it, I won it almost. No, probably not. But one of the last few times, obviously, I've
Mm.
won it before, so it's just a good memories when that happens. So we'll
It's
see.
hard when you win so much that you just can't even remember, when the winning happened. You just,
No, no, it happened in 2019. I know
I'm
exactly when it
joking.
happened. 2019.
But you do
Yeah,
get to play. You get to play against the USL team, obviously Louisville, and
yeah,
we've talked about it before. But they have this great atmosphere, and they're clearly one of the big clubs in USL, which is why they're here in this round. Is it any different going up against a non MLS team? I'd imagine there's at least some of an edge, or there's like less familiarity. When you're playing against other MLS clubs, usually you know somebody or you know a coach or you've played them before. But this is a stadium you've never played in against a group of players that you've never played against.
yeah. There's definitely something about it, or something different about it, where you don't really know them as well. I've honestly I haven't watched a game of theirs. Like I don't really watch USL regularly, so it's difficult. But I did watch Providence, who opened their new stadium. So congrats on that. A little side note.
Always,
Um,
always a homer. I love it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Louisville. I mean, yeah, they'll be up for it 100%, but and that's usually what those matchups are like. They're a USL team or USL teams in general obviously want to go and beat the MLS team that the big boys, especially at home. So and that's always makes an intriguing matchup. So we'll see. We got to be up for it. We got to be ready and bring our best in order to advance. And yeah, hopefully we can do that and then go to the next round. Also, because I think in the next round we would host at home, have a home game. So those are always nice. And then yeah, hopefully we can move on. But those are definitely intriguing matchups for sure, and especially like you said, against a good team in Louisville.
Well, we're obviously going to be catching people up on what happened in that game next week, and we might get our first Julian Gressel start. Who knows? But you did make your first appearance of the season off the bench this past weekend after all of
I'm
the
back.
top.
We're back.
Yes,
Let's go.
yes. Sorry. I,
We're back.
it's funny that was actually in the script like 5 seconds for just celebrating before we talked about this. No, but you are back on an MLS field once again. How did that feel? Before we even talk about any of the stuff with Minnesota or Austin, who you were playing, or anything else that happened to the game, just being able to smell the grass and kick the ball and hear your name called by the stadium announcer as you came onto the field, like it's just you feel alive again or something.
And I think the other piece is Gressel introduction is you get a winner and you get some leadership as well with that experience that he has. He can play as that right wing back, but that service as far as chance creation, I think it's going to fit right in here in Minnesota.
Yeah, you do feel alive again. Absolutely. It was special. It was special. It was nervy, a little bit nervous. You haven't played in such a long time. You haven't been on the field in a while, so definitely a little bit nervy. But um, and obviously you're with a new team, so you're not used to kind of playing with them, and it's just all new. It's like first day of school all over again, type of thing. So certainly, yeah, a good feeling though overall, and then just really happy that we got the win, and I got to play. I think it was before the game. I knew it was either going to be 30 or 45 minutes. So, but the way the game went, obviously we did a great job, and then ultimately it ended up being 30 minutes, which yeah, it was great, and I was able to contribute to the clean sheet there with my goal line clearance. What do you think about that one, huh? You like that?
He's got to that spot a few times there, looks to play it across. This time it looks like he's going for net, and Gressel does an excellent job. You want to ingratiate to yourself to a teammate, save one.
You thought I was going to come in and make an assist and cross and all those things.
No.
Here I am, goal line clearance.
No, I mean, this reminds me of when we reviewed your FIFA card, right? Your FIFA Ultimate Team card, and
yeah.
that defensive rating was a little low, and you just need to send that highlight in an email, be like, "Excuse me,
There it is.
He's more than just a right foot, ladies and gentlemen. He's more than just a right." Now look, that's the sort of thing you got to do to win over your new teammates, right? Is you do all those little things and you grind it out. Not that I've ever had to join a new professional team and try and impress them, but it's great to do the big flashy stuff. But a goal line clearance, I feel like, gets you a little more street cred.
Hey, Dane St. Clair was absolutely ecstatic about it because he got the shutout and he got I think a record with it too, and like 6 out of the first 10 games I think he played. So have been shutouts now, and yeah, I contributed, and but I'm also like obviously I'm learning a lot about the culture and what this club is about, what the team is about, and certainly defensive mindset and willingness to go where it hurts a little bit and read plays like that and make plays like that is a big part of who we are. And that's why, like, I was happy to kind of sniff that out a little bit and take a step back on the goal line. And I got lucky a little bit that he kind of hit it right at me too. But um as I'm again finding out who we are and who this club and what the culture is like and everything like that, I think that is the number one, and that is the baseline of what we do. That is willingness to to defend and to keep a clean sheet, and I was able to contribute in that sense, and we were able to keep a clean sheet in the game and win the game comfortably 3-0, and it was yeah, a great little debut, 30 minutes for me, and going to continue to do that work defensively and hopefully add some more offensively too. But yeah, great start, and I'm happy to be back. There was a moment after the game, not gonna lie, like where I got a little bit emotional, not like crying or anything, but like you just like take it in, you like you go and you feel the grass a little bit, and you're like, I miss this, I really did. And I think I've said this on the podcast probably a lot, actually, where you really, you just like it's such a weird feeling, but you, like, when you prepare, right, and you train, and everything you do 24/7 is to be on the field, and then you don't get to do it. It's like, you like, there's just something missing, like, it's just like you do all this work, and then you don't actually get to do the job for what you prepare for all the time, is really difficult. So now to be able to do that is just grateful, just grateful to play. It all puts it all in perspective. And yeah, you don't really know what you got until it's gone. And that certainly hit it like that. And it was a really, really cool moment. Sorry, I'm rambling
No,
a little bit, but
I would imagine, right? You hear a lot of people actually that kind of reference this as you get in such a rhythm, and you've been in a rhythm since basically 2018, where you trained and then you played, right? And you
yeah,
trained and then you played, and then maybe sometimes, like we talked about at one point on the podcast, you're in Columbus and maybe you shift into an off the bench role for
yeah,
some time, but you're playing, you're involved in the story, you're
still
walking into
impacting everything. Yeah,
exactly. Well, the way I look at it is I've been in both situations. I played 5 sports in high school. Some of them I played a lot, and some of them I barely made the team and was just the vibes higher, right? But there's sometimes where you walking into the dressing room, the locker room after the game, and you haven't done anything, and you've got these other guys that are covered in mud and sweat and blood, and they're just you know. And then
yeah,
there's other times where you are one of those guys, and
yeah,
it's such a, I mean, it's like the Grand Canyon between those two experiences, and you really had to go through that for the first time, which is a good, a great career overall, to only have to go through that for the first time, where Inter Miami just decided they weren't going to play you anymore. And is there I'm gonna be honest, because you got Miami coming up this weekend. Is there, you would never say this, so I'll say it for you, is there a little bit of a revenge factor that you want to prove that you can still play?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, yeah, like, it's the competitor in me, right? I think I felt that way while I was in Miami. I felt like I could have helped the team. I felt like I could have played minutes, and really meaningful minutes, and like I said, help the team, and now, I get to do that again here in Minnesota, and I get to hopefully make a big impact in that game against Miami on Saturday and moving forward into the season. Yes, at the end of the day, it's just one game, 3 points, same thing, like this weekend against Austin, same type at stake. But for sure, there's going to be extra motivation against those guys. And um, yeah, I mean, they kind of wrote me off, or in a sense, and here I am. It's just funny how it works out a little bit. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited about the game. But first, we obviously have the game against Louisville, and then we'll kind of quick turnaround for the Miami game. But um, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody would think that way. I would hope.
Yeah, no, I think let me reframe that. Basically, every professional athlete would probably think that way to some extent, because it's not the first or the last time that somebody is going to think that you're finished or not good enough, and then you just show up and get another goal line clearance, and the Loons go crazy again. No.
Let's hope so. Hopefully,
Well,
we keep the
and that'll
shutout
be,
Saturday too.
yeah, there you go. Well, that would extend St. Clair's record, so you'll be absolutely cooking at that point.
Yeah.
It'll also be your debut in front of the home fans, and so what that's gonna. I know you're gonna sing Wonderwall. Hopefully, you'll be really excited about that. But you talked about kind of learning the culture, and it's the first day of school. What uniquely Minnesotan or Minnesota United things have you kind of picked up on so far, just being around the facility, being, you know, seeing some fans and going through a match with the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, it's a smaller club in a sense, where the people that are you see day to day, or that are working at the facilities, are um, know each other a little bit more. You see them a little bit more, and there's a little bit more of a family type feeling, where guys are really, like, really nice, and super, like, like a quiet team, but also some guys with some personality. Um, and in general, it's a different market. You know, there's a different vibe around the team where not everything is obviously centered around the huge superstars or anything like that. But the club culture and the badge is the star, and that's, I think, such a different sense, right, than what I've experienced over the last year and a half or so. So um, that's really, the type of things I'm picking up on, and that's really um, the thing that you know drives this club, I think, and that's the connection to the community, the connection to the fans, and to the city, to the Twin Cities. Sorry.
Whoa, whoa,
Um,
whoa, whoa. You're a week and a half in. You're a week and a half in. Forget it.
so it's really that, and I think that is something everybody has bought into here, and not just players but staff members, everybody, and that is really cool to see. And yeah, it's just been a couple of weeks now, but it's been a really good, and everybody's so welcoming and so open, and Minnesota nice is a really really good thing. It's really true. So um, definitely would welcome you up here too, Zealand, if you ever
Oh,
wanted
hey,
to
look,
make a trip.
it keeps warming up. You might be able to. You might be able to convince me to come hang out and sing Wonderwall for a game. That sounds like a good time. When's the family going to be able to make it up? Is there an updated timetable for that?
Yeah, so I actually we found a house. So next week I'll get into the house and try and get some furniture in there, and then I think a month from now, so first week of June, they'll be able to join. My daughter can finish out the um, school year in Florida, and then beginning of June they will come. Maybe they'll sneak in a weekend in between then, just for a game and just to kind of check it out and see what it's like. But I think the full move will happen first week of June, and then we'll be fully Minnesota residents, and fully integrated into, yeah, the life here.
Nice. Is there any guilty pleasure before? Obviously, you love the family and love having them around, but while you have this kind of time to yourself, I know when I get the apartment to myself and I just live with my brother as we work on the YouTube channel together, I'm on the couch in my boxers, socks, popcorn, watching my favorite TV shows. So, like, what are you doing to kind of kill the time? Maybe a guilty pleasure because your daughters aren't waking you up at 6:30 in the morning.
That's yeah. I mean, the sleeps are certainly different. It's just different being alone. But honestly, I've been really busy because we haven't had an away game over the weekend, so I wasn't home. Now we travel again midweek, and honestly, the first week was all about like looking at houses, looking at schools. So I've had the tasks, the not so easy tasks of finding a proper house that my wife will like,
Yeah, no pressure.
and finding a proper school that my wife will also like and the kids will like. So like, these types of decisions are certainly not easy ones. So I've been busy, and ever since then, I've been, honestly, I think I've been to IKEA like 3 times. I've been Targets and all these places. So I'm being a dad, or I'm trying to set up our life here so that it is absolutely, the easiest transition possible for when they come, um, so that we don't have to go furniture shopping anymore as much, or it's just more like smaller things that we need to worry about. And that's really why I'm using this time to do that. And first 2 weeks have been great. Now I have maybe another month where I actually have some visitors coming. My family's coming from Germany over the next few weekends, so
Nice.
it'll be some time to enjoy it. Yeah, I went to the hockey game, which I probably wouldn't have been able to go to if the family was here. Next week, or at the end of this week, I might go to a basketball game where maybe I wouldn't have done that if my wife and my kids were here. So it's just like those types of things, where you can um, you have a little bit more free time, but at the same time, I am setting everything up. It's not like I'm just sitting around the hotel room like you at home,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
just
Well,
streaming all day. I wish I could jump on the stream with you. We need to do
yeah,
that.
I was playing EAFC today. I went over to the dark side, so that was, yeah, absolutely grueling job over here as well. But I like the mental image that Julian Gressel in his downtime after this big, much discussed move that I'm seeing Tom Bogert tweet about is sitting there building IKEA furniture. and going to war with a cabinet or a shelf or something to try and get it ready. Yeah, that was. Oof.
I don't know if I'll be building too many because it's a lot.
So it's gonna be the boxes. Like, this is gonna be a great shelf.
Just
when
what is
we
it called?
Put it together.
TaskRabbit, I think is the company. Yeah, unsponsored ad here, unpaid sponsorship. Unpaid
the
sponsorship.
only person allowed to build Julian Gressel's furniture. And on that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be back talking about stuff around the world after this. We haven't been able to go around the world for a little bit because there's been a lot of drama in player manager land, and we've missed a lot. But one thing that is actually breaking basically today, or the day that we are recording this, is that Trent Alexander-Arnold has officially announced, after much speculation for literally an entire year, that he is going to go to Real Madrid from Liverpool. And this has been a very, very hot button conversation that I feel like sometimes as an American, I don't have the ability to weigh in on as well as somebody that walks in two worlds the way that you do. And so I am definitely, the most important question here is Trent Alexander-Arnold has spent 20 years at Liverpool. He joined Liverpool, and this is always hard for me to believe, at 6. He was 6 years old when he joined Liverpool's youth teams. And he's played for 20 years. He's now 26 years old. He's obviously won Champions League, 2 Premier Leagues, the Cups. If you were in that situation with Bayern Munich, which is obviously your kind of childhood club, would you ever imagine yourself leaving to go play in a different country? Like, let's say if you were at Bayern Munich, but then Liverpool or Manchester United at the peak of its powers, certainly not right now, said, hey, Julian, we would love for you to come play here, or Real Madrid or Barcelona, or maybe Inter, AC Milan if they have pull. Like, could you ever imagine yourself leaving Bayern if you'd already won all the things you thought you could win?
It's a hypothetical. It's such a hard question to answer, but I mean, I want to say no, but at the same time, I think just looking at that specific incident or that specific situation with Trent, I see the intrigue in it, right? The tease of seeing something else, of stepping out of your comfort zone, trying to grow, trying to play for, obviously, not another English team at least, but an absolute world team in Real Madrid. And so I see that, right? But what are your thoughts on that? Do you
the problem with this situation is there's so many different things that people are mad at him for that you have to unpack all of the different parts of all of the different parts of his thought process, right? Because I see the same thing. I mean, I obviously travel a lot for the documentary series we do. I love going out and seeing the world. I like to think that if I was a professional player, I would go play in a few different countries. Like, my goal would be to go play in a few different leagues, depending on what level I was at. But maybe you go play in Vietnam for a couple of years. They pay incredibly well, right? The weather's awesome, right? Like, there's you can, and there are a lot of people, I believe they're referred to as like football tourists, that from Brazil exports a lot of these guys where they just go play anywhere in the world. You can fire up the Kyrgyzstan Premier League and there's going to be 3 Brazilian dudes in that league. And it's not just Brazil. A lot of guys from West Africa do it too, because it's their opportunity to go out and travel the world in a way that maybe they didn't think they'd be able to. So I think I'd be in that category. But I think Real Madrid is also this kind of different. They established this with that Galacticos era, but they have a different pull where I feel like Florentino Perez is almost like an Instagram model or something. Like, he slides into your DMs and he tries to worm his way into your mind. He's trying to, because I don't know if you ever saw the Rudiger story, but Antonio Rudiger said that before he went to Real Madrid, he got a message from Florentino Perez, who's the president of Real Madrid, 5 years before he went there. It was after he got hurt or something in like 2014. Wow. And exactly. This opened my third eye as to how Florentino operated. And it's kind of hard to resist because he messages Rudiger in 2014. He gets hurt playing with the German national team or something. And he goes, hey, really sorry you got hurt. Loved the way you've been playing. Feel like you could be a Real Madrid player someday. So keep your head up and just stay after it. And that was it. Wow. It was just a brief exchange. But Rudiger talked about how that stuck in his mind for years. Like it
Yeah.
basically elevated his mindset where before he'd never thought of himself as a Galactico type, Real Madrid type player.
Where
And
was
then
that?
after he got that message, he went, oh, and then it just kind of realigns his goals. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trent got a text 3 years ago from Florentino Perez that said something very similar.
Oh,
It was like, hey,
probably.
oh yeah, you could
And it
be a Real Madrid player.
might not have been Perez, but wasn't it in the in the David Beckham documentary where
Yes,
some
didn't
of
he do
those
the same
guys,
thing?
yeah, but it wasn't Perez, it was a player. I think it was Zidane or somebody that like approached him, was like, why don't you come
Was
join us or something like that? Just like simple, like a simple little thing. And David Beckham was like, wait a second. And then all of a sudden
yeah,
it does something. That's why it would definitely do something to me as well. Right?
exactly.
Like,
Well, it changes your. It's weird because obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold's a brilliant player, and obviously
yeah.
David Beckham and Antonio Rudiger was playing with the German national team at that time. These guys are world class by any definition, but it's like they don't realize that they can play at the Real Madrid level until a player or a coach or Florentino calls them up and
Yeah.
says, "Hey, you can play at this level. You can
This
be one of
is
these guys."
this is crazy, but like I had something similar with me. But obviously not with Real Madrid or anything like that, or like on a European level. But so when Tata got appointed the coach in Miami in 2023, he got appointed, and then obviously Messi came in the Leagues Cup initially, that first season or first half season with Messi and everything. When Tata came, I sent him a text message saying, "Hey, welcome back to MLS. So good to see you back here. Good luck, whatever, just like quick." And he goes, yes, I'm happy to be back. Thank you. Maybe you could join us in Miami again, or maybe we can join forces again, or something like that. At some point, like not even specific about anything or whatever, but some similar like little message, and then it sticks,
Yeah, it just
it
plants
turned
the
out.
seed,
Yeah,
just drops it in
yeah.
there. So that's
So
did that just kind of stick in your mind until you ended up going, and then I'm assuming Inter Miami. We talked about this, I know, a long time ago. They reach out to your agent, then you just go, you know what, Tata did say that I could do that it would work.
yeah, it definitely does, and then your thoughts go right. You excuse me. Ah,
Yeah, editor, keep that
sorry.
in. Okay.
No, but your thoughts go for sure when you have a message like that, or when you think of something. Obviously, in my case, right, it's playing with Messi in Miami, and you like think about that with Tata again, I know a coach who loves me, and who we've won together, like all these things. Like I'd be lying if that didn't do something to me in a sense. So I'm sure, if Trent got a message like that, or Rudiger got it, then those thoughts, they can develop into something. And Trent has been, like you said, there since he's 6, so he's also, I also get a sense that maybe some people are just used to him normal, and or like just being around, like it can get stale in a sense, and then maybe there's something new now about it, and it's just intriguing. Like you don't really know what's behind the curtain unless you open it up, or you don't know what's behind the closed door unless you go through it. So
Yeah.
I think it's great for him to have this step, and to, yeah, maybe see what it's like in a different country, different playing style, grow as a person, grow as a player, all those types of things.
Well, and there's like things that could be pointed at that are on the front of the page too. You've got Jude Bellingham's already on the team, right? These two guys
Yeah.
play in the national team together. They know each other. There used to be a joke that, Trent was recruiting Jude to come play for Liverpool, and then he just apparently pulled out the Uno reverse card and it's going the other way instead, right? And then there's also the fact that he's been playing for Jurgen Klopp for nearly a decade, and that basically the entire time he'd spent with Liverpool in the first team was with Jurgen Klopp as the manager, and now
Yeah.
he's gone. So it's just a different, you talk about things getting stale. Well, sometimes, like when Tata left Miami, it's just different, right? The vibe's just not the same.
Yeah.
And obviously, that can.
But Liverpool just won the Prem, so it's not like they, I mean,
Anyway, yeah. It was. It's different in that way too, and that's why some people are mad. They're like, well, why would you leave if you can win everything here? Which is an interest, because I don't know if there's a direct response to that. But to me, I would rather leave after winning the league than leave, because this is getting compared, and
yeah,
I'm going into a dangerous area because I'm not a brilliant football historian here. But McManaman was a striker probably about 20, 25 years ago, played for Liverpool, and he was a homegrown guy and he left. And that's what people are comparing this to. But they were saying that might have been more fair because he left when Liverpool was in ninth. I feel like that might be more snakish because you're leaving the club when it's down while he's leaving the
yeah.
club that you just won the league at.
It's just like the way contracts work out, right? Like if Trent had another year or two on his contract and they won the league, like he probably wouldn't have left, right? I mean, Real Madrid has this thing of just signing everybody on a free for some reason. They get everybody for free. So
he's like a puppeteer, man. I mean, they got Mbappe for free. They got
Yeah.
Rudiger for free, obviously.
Yeah.
And now they're getting Trent for free. He's one of the best right backs in the world. But I have a sneaky, like, obviously Florentino Perez is brilliant at what he does. I hate him. He's like the Empire in Star Wars, right? But he is brilliant at what he does. And I think that the reason he goes so hard and convinces these players to do the free transfers is you make less money as a team in Spain than you do as a team in England. And I think Florentino realizes, and this is, I'm risking getting into a different conversation, but I'll be sure we manage to not get too lost in it because I have we have other things we want to talk about. But the Premier League makes so much money that Real Madrid, the only way it can compete is to basically just aura its way to big transfers, because they have such tight financial regulations in Spain that Premier League clubs are bringing in such ridiculous TV money that they can outspend Real Madrid. The top Premier League clubs can outspend Real Madrid, even with as much money as Real Madrid brings in. And
Yeah.
they compensate for that by basically building the free Galacticos, which is beyond impressive. But I think that it's also dangerous because if you're a huge club with a star player who's in the last 2 years of their contract, you got to like block Florentino Perez's phone number or something. Just make sure they can't get to him. But there's kind of the last direction I wanted to go with the Trent story, which was assuming Trent wanted to play for Real Madrid, and Real Madrid made it clear that he could only play for them if he went there for free, that they weren't going to buy him. How would you handle this situation? Because I tried to game this out on stream earlier today, and I can tell you how I would have handled it. Right, I would have gone in because I think Trent knew for a while. I think it's very likely that Trent knew he was going to Real Madrid for at least a year.
Oh, that long? No, I don't think so.
I think he might. Well, okay, maybe you're saying he knew in January. What's your guess?
I think this sport is too quickly changing for him to be thinking that for a year. Maybe in his mind he wanted it that way, and maybe there was like Real Madrid was like, okay, yeah, we could be interested. Yeah, we could be. Yeah, it could be a thing. But I think it doesn't. I mean, it's not official yet, right? Has he signed yet?
No.
He hasn't signed.
I don't think
He just said that he's not returning to Liverpool, right?
It might not be legal for him to sign it yet, but I think he's announcing basically that he's
No, he
not
could sign a
returning to Liverpool.
pre-contract. He could sign a pre-contract 6 months before.
In England, it's only a month, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's just between English clubs. Sometimes I know just enough to be dangerous and just enough to be wrong. So I could totally be wrong. But I think the announcement, I can get it pulled up real quick. Let me go to the other monitor. The announcement was just that he's leaving Liverpool. I'm pretty
Yeah, that's
sure.
what I thought.
And it's
so that's why maybe he had known that for a while, that he wasn't going to renew the contract. But even that, like, I think if the Real Madrid thing maybe Real Madrid was his number one option and Liverpool was number two, right? And now the Real Madrid thing is becoming clearer and clearer, and it's going to happen, and that's why he feels confident enough to say, okay, I'm leaving Liverpool. So, but I don't think it was longer than maybe a month ago. I really don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, my theory is if he knows this way out in advance, you go to Liverpool and you say basically, I'm going to go to Real Madrid next year. That's where I want to play. So you're not going to be able to sell me anywhere else because if you negotiate a transfer, then I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
But I really want to stay and help the team this year. You take essentially a final year where you're with the team and you're Liverpool for life or whatever. But then people would probably be booing him during the games in August and September, when, you know, or in March or whenever he actually makes that
Yeah.
announcement. And he said in his statement here, he's like, he didn't want to distract from the season. And now that the season for them is basically settled, this is when he makes the announcement. I
Yeah.
think
I'm
it's a no
sure
win.
there.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure there were really good conversations between the club and him. Like, I don't think for a guy that has been there for so long, like, I don't think the club would, not go on and have conversations with him as his contract is expiring and all those things. So there must have been conversations behind closed doors that were just kept, private, and that's why I think the relationship probably is still good between him and the club. I would guess.
So would you be mad at Trent if you were a Liverpool fan? Or maybe I can reframe this. If Thomas Muller had gone to Real Madrid at 28 by running down his contract, would you have been upset with Thomas Muller?
Well, Bastian Schweinsteiger kind of did it. He went to Man United,
True.
right, as a Bayern Munich player. Toni Kroos did it. He went to Real Madrid, you know.
Did he go for
So
free? Was that a free move as well?
I don't think it was a free move. I don't think Bayern could afford a free
that
move.
kind of that adds
Yeah.
another layer of, like, Liverpool fans are upset at him because he didn't get them the $100 million they thought
Yeah.
he should have, or whatever.
Yeah. It's how contracts work, It's just how it is. Not the club has always the power. The players also have some power with contracts expiring and stuff. So it's just how the game is. But I don't think I was mad at them. I think I wish they had stayed, yeah. But as a fan, I don't think I was mad at them. So I don't think I would have been, no. Because, like, at the end of the day, clubs evolve and clubs, players come and go. And if somebody doesn't really want to be here, then so be it. Like, let them explore, let them go. Trent's been there for so long. Who knows? Maybe the next Trent that Liverpool has in the pipeline is going to be even better, or maybe not next year, but maybe the year after, or anything like that. Or it frees up money that you would have paid Trent to now go out and sign somebody else that is exciting. Like, there's always positives to kind of those things as well. So I think Liverpool will be okay without it.
Yeah. Well, I got to say I agree with you. I also think they'll be okay without him. They got a kid named Connor Bradley who looks like a heck of a right back that's been getting looks behind Trent for a while. And while he was not born in Liverpool, he's from Northern Ireland. He has come up in the Liverpool Academy, so that's going to have to be good enough for them. But I also agree with Jamie Carragher, who I'll let have the last word on this, where he said he was getting sick and tired of people that aren't Liverpool fans telling Liverpool fans how they're supposed to feel. So I want to promise that we weren't doing that. We were just talking about how we would feel in that situation. And I tend to agree with that. If you're a Liverpool fan, you have to decide for yourself what you make of how Trent handled this whole situation. But I guarantee in 15 years, he'll be back getting a round of applause from the Liverpool faithful, walking around the field and waving, wearing all of his freaking winners' medals. And that takes us into the Champions League, which, of course, Trent had won, and the Europa League, which we are going to talk about next week. Just wanted to let you know we weren't living in a vacuum, but by the time this actually comes out, those matches are going to have started being played. So we'll break that down and talk about the finals and stuff on next week's podcast. But there is one other thing we wanted to hit, which does involve your Bayern Munich. You've returned to the top of the Bundesliga, and that is particularly huge news because one, Harry Kane and Eric Dyer, lest we not forget, have finally won their first senior trophy. I'm just happy for Harry Kane. I don't know, like, as a player's perspective, particularly a player such as yourself that's won a lot of trophies, like, finally being able to see one of the great players of a generation lift a single trophy. It feels just like hard to believe. It's just weird.
Well, it was like, I feel like it was like a running joke every year, right? Of like, another season, no trophy for Harry Kane. Like, yeah, he's an absolutely great player. One of the greatest strikers I think England has ever had. And now for him to, finally get that monkey off his back and lift the trophy. He had to come to the best club in the world to do it. I love it. At Bayern Munich, and now he won the Bundesliga. But yeah, it's, who knows? Maybe now every year he's going to win multiple. So Let's hope so, but and hopefully in a red and white shirt in Munich. But yeah, no, it's about time. He deserves it. Congratulations, and um, yeah, I mean
I, I,
it was
I
due.
just, it was due. I am kind of glad. I just want to throw this out there because he had played in the German Super Cup in his first match with Bayern nearly, a year and a half ago or whatever. And he lost that match. And that was when the running joke kind of reached a fever pitch. It's like, oh, you go to Bayern
Yeah,
and you can't even win the German Super Cup. And then, of course, they lose the league, and that kicks the jokes up even
yeah,
farther. I'm glad that it ended up being a hard won Bundesliga because now nobody can debate like he's actually gone and earned a trophy. This was him. And he scored a goal per game. So he's been brilliant. And I'm happy for Bayern. I went to my first Bayern Munich game a couple of weeks ago, beginning of April.
yes. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
I went to Bayern Munich against Borussia Dortmund. It was my first Bundesliga match, let alone my first Bayern match. And it was one, a wild 2-2 draw that I got to watch between those two
Yeah.
teams. And two, I really loved the Allianz Arena. It was fantastic. I got to say, I'm kind of rooting. I feel like I'm picking the evil empire here, but I'm kind of rooting for Bayern Munich now after meeting all the fans
All
and
right. Yeah,
seeing
you
that.
were in the
Yeah,
red shirt too. I like it.
yeah. Well, I mean, I try to be respectful in that way. When I go to games, I usually try to wear the colors. I and my friend, we had red scarves. We bought scarves outside the ground. We had them. And
Yeah.
I didn't know what they were singing in German, but everybody lifted their scarves up at some point, and so we did that too. We were figuring
So
it out.
what? So how was your day there? Did you go from the city with the train to the stadium, or
Yeah,
how
yeah,
did you
yeah.
get? Yeah.
We took the train, 100%. We took the train. I having ever since I started living in New York, I've become a big train guy. And Munich
Yeah.
actually has a really good weird train system. I'm sure you obviously know
Yeah.
this, but for everybody else, the overground trams combine with like an underground subway to create. You're like, okay, I'm going to take the subway to here and the tram to here, and then
Yeah.
that. So we danced around that. I was staying kind of northern Munich, so I was already closer to the stadiums. It wasn't that long of a ride, but it
Okay.
was really fun, and it felt more like, and this might, you might agree with this or it might sound weird. It felt more like an American sporting atmosphere than matches in England do. I think in a good way. Because
Okay.
there were Dortmund and Bayern fans on the train having a laugh with each other. I mean, they were,
Okay.
singing at each other and chanting with each other, but they were also like hammered arm in arm, like, oh, the vibes were more friendly. The vibes were a little less, we're going to beat you
Okay.
up if you end up on the wrong side of the. And I think I really enjoyed that. And the friend that I went to the game with had never been to any soccer match before. So it was interesting. I kind of got to experience the game through them. And that, so the whole experience was very cool. But I spent a week in and around Munich kind of as a little vacation to see friends before the game. And Munich's my favorite city in Germany. It really is. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
don't
And
get me started. It's my favorite city in the world. Munich's the best.
I had a lot of beer. I had no German food though. We got a lot of Chinese food in Munich, which can recommend.
Oh,
It's actually very good.
all right.
I don't know.
But what did you eat at the game? Did you eat a pretzel at least, or like a
Oh,
bratwurst or something?
that was the crazy part. They had, and this will blow your mind if you're from certain parts of the world. We got 2-liter beers, so one each, and then a
Yeah.
giant Bavarian pretzel to split. I mean, one of those that's bigger than my head, which is hard to do. And the whole thing was $20. Both the beers and the pretzel was
Yeah.
$20, which, I mean, if I got that in the US, it would have been $45 at least. The beer lasted us the whole game. So did the pretzel. And so, yes, we fully did it. We had the scarves. We stood up for the songs or whatever. Tried to say something that vaguely sounded like the German words that they were saying when they were chanting, right? And then we had the beer, we had the pretzel. So I think we got maybe the full perfect experience. And I'll tell you what, on the way back, we got a doner kebab.
How good are those? How good are
They were
those?
big. They were big. Normally, Europe
Yeah.
is skimping on the portions compared to my Southern American backside, right? But the doner kebab was significant. It was cheap. It was, yeah. That I felt that one for like 2 days. I'm pretty sure
You know what? I'm so surprised that they don't have that in the US as
I
much.
I mean, it really, like, it is in a lot of places in Europe, but in Germany, it is the
It's like
late
a
night food
gyro,
of
right? Like a
choice.
gyro meat.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, they have it in New York. They have like halal food trucks
yeah,
kind of on the street where you can get the same thing, but it doesn't have the same mystique, and you often don't get that rotating thing of
yeah,
meat that they're just shaving off.
yeah.
We got to ours so late that they actually had to turn that back on. I watched the guy he had to like light it. He's trying to with a lighter. It took him like 5 minutes. Then he heated the meat up and shaved it off for us. But no, I don't. It should take off in America, and there's going to be a genius that figures out how to market doner kebabs to Americans, and then they're gonna.
Let's open one.
Hey,
One
that
in
you know
one in New
what?
York, one in Minnesota.
This is perfect. Yeah, no, the Julian Gressel retirement path has been plotted. My
Yes.
retirement path from YouTube has been plotted. We are going to open up a franchisable doner kebab store in the United States before somebody listening to this podcast steals our idea.
Let us know in the comments what we should name it.
Speaking of comments, it's time to get to your comments. Like Julian said, if you leave comments, not just on YouTube, where obviously this podcast is, so if you're listening on Spotify, now you know, but also on Instagram or anywhere else, we like to get to you guys' comments because we are the type of people that pay attention. We're not like the bad influencers. We are the cool influencers. And if you leave those comments, we'll maybe pull them and respond to them on an episode. Like this one from DD on YouTube. How do teams or coaches handle the language differences so everyone understands during training? Are directions interpreted right away, or do you rely on teammates to interpret?
Well, usually when there's a um, big two big groups, for example, like it was in Miami, where some guys or most guys speak Spanish, and then some guys speak English. Or most teams I've been on, there's always a few Spanish speakers and English speakers. So usually you have either teammates that translate, or most of the time it's just coaches, right? There's always a bilingual coach that translates what's going on, um, one in a team talk, or two when there's like exercises being explained, or tactical meetings or whatever. So there's always this, yeah, just a dual like communication, right? Like, so everybody kind of gets it in their native language, and it's not really left to just open for open interpretation. But if it's like a simple passing drill or something, like it won't maybe be explained in two languages, you'll just run through an example really quick, like say here, here, go there, type of thing, and then you move on. But in Miami, Mascherano obviously spoke both languages, so he would alternate between English and Spanish. Most of it was in Spanish, and then whenever there was something specific that he also wanted to get across in English, he would say, either translate what he had just said in Spanish into English, or sometimes he would even just speak English because it was, let's say, it was direct to me. Like he would just speak English, in a tactical meeting that just, was for me. He would then just speak English directly to me. So it's nice if a head coach can kind of do both. But with Tata, it was in a sense where he would say everything in Spanish, and then everything would be translated by an assistant coach to English. So it would make the meetings a little bit longer. And the
Yeah.
way it is actually here in Minnesota is that um, the coach speaks English, and while the coach says it in English, Zarek Valentin, which I jumped on a podcast with him, by the way, so check that one out. He translates as the coach is speaking everything to like two or three players that we have on a team that only speak Spanish. So that's, you can probably do that when there's just a few guys like that, where they always kind of sit in the corner in the back somewhere. Zarek is unbelievable to listen and translate at the same time. What a skill, um, to kind of do that. So he does it for the Spanish speakers here, and gets that point across in that sense. So you try and make it as easy as possible for everybody without dragging meetings out for too long, but usually it happens pretty quickly.
Have you ever had a team that there was any player on it that didn't speak Spanish or English?
Now, actually, yeah, we have two guys from Korea, and one of them speaks pretty good English. so he understands all of it, and then he translates it for the other guy who doesn't speak much. So,
Nice.
but other than that, no. Sometimes there's a German too, but they always speak English usually too. So
Mm.
we don't necessarily need to translate to each other, but it's mostly been English and Spanish. Yeah.
Well, I mean, all the dressing rooms that I've had access to, the most impressive thing I've ever seen was the same thing that you were talking about, which was when we did the video in Gibraltar. The captain of that team was from Mexico, but spoke fluent English as well. And there were on every one of those Gibraltarian teams, and the one that we were covering too, there's always 5 or 6 guys from Spain that
Yeah.
speak no English, but they're signed into the team, and they would all sit in a circle around him during the tactical meeting, and the coach would be giving the tactical briefing, and he would just be talking.
Yeah.
It's really disorienting if you've never seen it before. So I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get it across to the listeners, like how weird it is to have this guy just sitting there, like just rambling along in Spanish. And the coach is now paying attention because he knows that this is happening and it's supposed to be happening.
It definitely takes some getting used to. Like when I heard it first, I was like, wait, what's going on here? And it's like you kind of have to tune it out, right? To listen, you just have to listen. Like the coach speaks in English, so obviously listen to the coach. But like somebody's always kind of talking in the back or whatever. Like it was definitely new at first too. But now after a few times, it's fine.
And if whether it's a player or a coach that's doing the translating, that can help earn you another contract or be able to stay around if you're the guy that's able to real-time translate. Hey.
Cedric Valentin was still playing, right? Last year, I think. So he just retired. So yeah, he found a way into the locker room as an assistant coach. It was really big value in that sense, for sure.
Yeah. Or and then you can have the downside like Shohei Ohtani's translator, and then he gambles away 50 million of your own dollars. So you gotta be careful, obviously.
Very careful, please. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So just be sure to warn the Korean guys on the team or the one Korean guy, and just make sure that there's no gambling going on.
I'll throw my Korean out. Try and get a new Duolingo streak going in Korean.
There you go.
Instead of Spanish.
Screw the 1,000-day Spanish streak. It's time to fire up the Korean. You could probably surprise the hell out of him if you came out with like one Korean phrase. You'd have a friend for life in the locker room.
That would be fun.
You got to try that. We'll catch up on it next week. But that's it for this week. Huge shout out to Apple TV Plus and Kaylin Carr for referencing the podcast.
Yes.
Much love. And if you are listening, watching, or whatever, please be sure to subscribe. Love the community that's built around this podcast. Love interacting with you all. So thank you so much for supporting this podcast. The both of us excited for this new era of talking about the Loons a little bit on every one of these podcasts. And we'll see you next time.